What's up, guys? It's your boy Jarod and your girl Gabby. We are back for another episode of the Kicks and Shit Show number 32. Bah, 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 bah. Gabby, what is happening in those streets?
Oh, Jarod, there's a lot happening in these streets. It's been a week, regular work life, starting new projects, exciting things.
Yes, you are. You are now. You have regular things that you have going on right now. So you are very busy.
I'm not fully ready to make the announcement yet.
I wasn't gonna say what it was. I'm just saying that you have regular things besides me that keep your attention. Which I don't really know how I feel about that, so we'll discuss.
I know. Are you feeling a little bit neglected, Jarod?
Yes,
is that what's going on?
Yes, I actually am. That is it. Yes, I am.
I have to ask though. Did our group chat about the mids that came out this week? Did that not do it for you?
No,
it did it for me.
No, that was not enough because that was a group chat. So that was somebody else in there versus just our normal one-on-one chats.
I mean that's true, but any plug to get the mids trending for the ladies?
Yes,
I'm a fan. I don't care who knows it.
Listen,
these are fire, and I have to say, if no one agreed with me, why did they sell out?
Listen,
why?
The mids are fire. They are. Jenna, who's also on the group chat, she agrees they are fire. And I agree. Who doesn't like those? Gold toes, metallic. I mean,
what's not to love? I agree.
I have no words to say because they look great. Again,
did you buy it?
No, I did not. Only because
I know.
I'm at that stage now where I'm like, oh.
You don't want to match me and Jenna. Also, I understand that. It's okay.
Dear God, please. That is the last thing I want to do is be in any airport wearing the same things as you two. That's just
All-Star 2022. You don't want to have matching sneakers. The new version of the buddy system.
I definitely don't want that. No, we talked about this a little bit last week. I think people hate on mids because they think it's cool to hate on mids. It's like. It's like, when do we get out of that phase of high school and middle school? When does that stop? When does that stupidness stop?
I don't think it does. They hate us because they ain't us. That's all I got to say. But I don't think it stops. And you know what? Haters going to hate. Taters going to tate. And I'm going to rock a mid Jordan 1 and I don't give a fuck. Sorry. I know this is the family show. I just, that's how heated I got. We're going to do the little radio edit. Whoop.
I love it. I love it.
Post editing for that one.
This is fantastic. So, Gabby,
How are you doing in these streets, Jarod? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I gotta ask.
Thank you, I appreciate it, guys. You see that? She actually asked how I was doing. No, I'm good. We are heading towards mid-December already, which is what? Crazy. I'm good. Got a Christmas tree, so ready to rock and roll. Wrapping up year-end projects. I think I talked about this a couple times. That was on some deadlines, wrapping some things. So that's exciting, and the NBA season's back, so I've been on it's been media week this week for all the NBA teams. And so since we don't actually go anywhere physically anymore in person, they're all on Zoom. So it's the Sixers, the Nuggets, the Nets. I'm bouncing around from Zoom call to Zoom call. But yeah, December 22nd, league tips off. We're back at it. So I'm back in my grind of covering the league, which of course, I love, and following what's going on here locally in Brooklyn.
I love that. So does that mean now that you have a Christmas tree, you're starting to rock Christmas music? Do you have a favorite, a go-to?
Yes, I love this. So my favorite Christmas album is the Jackson 5 Christmas album.
Okay.
And it's good stuff. And the reason why it's so special to me is because that's the Christmas album when I was a kid that we played in my house all the time. And it's been a staple with me since young Jarod back in mid 80s, that it's all the way through. I've been listening to that album. It's so good. It's short. I think it's 11 songs. Maybe it goes 52 minutes, somewhere around there. And it's it's young Michael, rest in peace. It's good stuff, man. I love it. It's a great one. That's my go-to.
Okay, I'm a big fan. My go-to is Sia Christmas, the most underrated Christmas album. 48 minutes.
I love
efficient.
See, that's what I love about the efficiency of Christmas albums.
Yep. Absolutely.
Not that I don't mind a lovely 2-hour album, but it's a little much. So I get a nice 48 minutes in and out, like it.
I agree. And there's just so many good one-off songs too. I gotta love me some Run DMC Christmas, and dare I say it?
I know where you're going. I know where. And
Like me and Mariah go back like babies and pacifiers.
Yeah, see,
you know?
I knew you were going to hit with the Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. But, I mean, who doesn't love?
How could you not? That song slays year after year.
Slaps.
Mariah.
Slaps? We say slaps. That song slaps.
I think you say both. I sound weird if I say slaps, but that song slays also.
It also does that. And it
slays all day with that song.
See, the double entendre. See what you did there? Slays. That reminds me, too, of... and I call it a Christmas movie because of the time of year it takes place. Love Actually. I mean,
I was going to say Die Hard. I was like, don't even say it. But
I mean,
actually, I think it's a Christmas movie.
Right? And so, and that, of course, that song is like prominently featured throughout. Yeah. So anyway, it's that season. It's that season.
It's the season. That's right. You know what other season it is?
What season is it?
What's in the kitchen?
What's in what kitchen? My kitchen?
Who's cooking? Who's cooking in the Under Armour kitchen? I know it's a little bit of a reach, but we're gonna go with it.
I like it. Are you Chef Curry's? Is that what you're referring to?
I would say bulking season. You know, that's why we're cooking so much.
So Under Armour announced this week that it will be giving Steph Curry his own brand underneath the Under Armour imprint, a la like what the Jordan brand, what Nike does with the Jordan brand and Michael Jordan. And the whole goal there, of course, is to give Steph his own logo, capitalize on his fame, his ability to move units well past his playing days like Michael Jordan. And they're going to branch off into golf, lifestyle, similar to what the Jordan brand does. I have many thoughts about this. Look, for Steph Curry, in terms of what it's for him, kudos. I'm happy for him. Get that money, Steph. Get that brand, get that imprint. It's going to be a good thing for him from a financial perspective. Not that he needs any more, but I don't pocket watch. So my man, do you? Now, whether or not it's going to be successful,
right?
I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is because, to me, the Under Armour Currys are not fire. Like, I don't like any of their designs. And so, to me, I don't know how much that's going to capture what they're hoping to capture, right? Because the idea is, like they said, they want to take on the Jordan brand. And I'm not saying that should not be your ambition. Go for that. But we talk about Jordan brand all the time. Man, their legacy for a reason. Like you're gonna have a tough time like getting people to be like, when you're talking about disposable income, right? If someone only has $500 to spend on their shoe allotment for whatever, you think you're gonna really get in there when they got some fresh new J's coming out? You might, but good luck. Good luck.
I hear you. I mean, I think, though, the price point's a little bit better, but I think this also gives Under Armour and Curry an opportunity to reinvent themselves, right?
Which they
should. The new logo is fire. It takes inspiration for his name, his number. I think it's just creating a new vibe and a new culture for Under Armour. So I'm excited to see how this pans out and if it's going to open the door for other brands to do more creative things.
I think the big thing is going to be, look, Michael Jordan has not dribbled a basketball competitively in an NBA game in damn near 20 plus years, right? Yet that brand is so iconic and still moves tons of units. Now, the Under Armour is hoping to capitalize off the idea that Steph Curry revolutionized the game, which in fact he did. But I don't know that he has the same, for lack of a better term, Madison Avenue appeal post-career that MJ has. Regardless of what you think, that's still a cool dude. Right? That dude walks into a room, you're still like, yo, there goes MJ. You think
that's true?
10 years post-Curry's career, we're still going to be doing, there goes, maybe. I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah, I don't know. Curry has changed the game of basketball in a lot of ways, and I think that it'll be interesting to see how that happens. He's still got a lot of career left, though.
No doubt.
I think we're very far from having that conversation. And I'm also intrigued, since you're talking about legacy players like that, is LeBron, is that going to change over time just because he is, one might say, the Michael Jordan equivalent of this generation of basketball?
Look,
but his brand isn't looked at necessarily in the same way. But who's to say that that's not going to change over time? The Jordan brand, while Jordan was playing, also wasn't as big as it is now. So I think it'll be interesting to see how the evolution of these player-focused brands really kind of evolves and comes to fruition.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, Gabby, and it's going to be about do they bring heat? If they bring heat, they'll move units.
Right.
If it's not heat, right? Like that's ultimately
that's cooler than being cool. Yeah,
ice cold. Right? Ultimately, the marketplace will decide if they think it's fresh and fire. People are gonna cop. If they're not, so Under Armour's gonna have to start thinking. Okay, what kind of partnerships are we gonna want to do? Right? Who do we want to bring in? What kind of design things are we? That's how they're gonna have to look if they want to really. If their goal is to actually compete and go head to head with Jordan Brand, you got to be in that space and bring on the people who they bring on. Who was your Tinker Hatfield? Right? Like that. That's gonna have to be how they look at things. Because remember, when those Chef Curry threes dropped after the 2016 finals, they were a dud. And since then, it's been downhill. And it's hard in this market when you hit that to come back up. See, Jordan's got that 35, right? So they can drop a dud, and it's not gonna. People aren't gonna be like, all right, that doesn't matter. The track record's there, right? So even if you're not feeling a particular whatever, like if I don't like mids, okay, fine, whatever. They got plenty of stuff, right? Plenty of stuff you do like, right? So I mean, and that's. And Under Armour didn't have that track record behind them. But we'll see. We'll see if Steph and if the team can get the right people in to change that.
Yep. I think those are very important points that you made. And, Under Armour has to look at it not just from a function perspective, but from a fashion perspective, right? And the shoes are functional. There's a reason that Curry has stayed with Under Armour as long as he has and continues to build with them. But I'd love to see from a fashion standpoint how Under Armour really makes it lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Speaking of lifestyle, women's sports and women's shoes, I don't want to say they're having a moment because it's more like a movement. They're having a movement, right? And our next guest is someone who champions all women's sports, but in particular the WNBA. And her work around what they did this year in the bubble and, what she just does and what she believes in is really a fascinating story. And we can't wait for you guys to check her out. So stay tuned.
Oh.
What's up, y'all? Gabby and Jarod are back. We are not alone, Gabby. We are joined by, and every time we have a guest, I'm always thinking, man, how do I want to gas them up? I don't even have to gas our guest up because her list of accomplishments, Christ, I might be here all night talking about this stuff. The multimedia journalist, social media superstar.
30 under 30.
Whoa. See, this is why I'm the host, right? And you're the co-host. Pause.
You see what you just did there, right? Can I get a witness?
The newly minted 2021 Forbes 30 under 30 honoree, Ari Chambers. Ari, what's good?
Hey, y'all! Hey, Bill. I'm guessing. I'm just kidding.
No, Ari, you know what's so wild? There's not many awards, I feel like, or honorees in this business that people really wow out about, like Forbes 30 under 30. That's, for whatever reason, that's the one that everybody universally is like, no, that's that shit. Now, it's all good because I'm well over 30, so ain't nobody ever going to be on that list. Shout out to Forbes 40 under 40. Nope, I ain't going to be on that one. Forbes 50 under 50. Can we do that?
Period.
But when you got the nod that you were going to be a Forbes 30 under 30, what was the first reaction that went through your mind?
It's crazy because this is my first award ever in journalism, in sports media. So, first of all, you get contacted by somebody at Forbes a month before they announce it, and they're like, "Hey, you've been nominated." And I was like, "Oh, that's great. This is great news." And you have to fill, out things to tell about yourself, and you don't find out until the public finds out. So I woke up to so many text messages, and I was like, "Oh." And then, me being from the South and who I am, dropped down on my knees and thank God, because Lord Jesus, it won't nothing but God, okay? My first reaction, I was just like, oh my God, my mom is going to love this. My granny can buy the magazine. This is great. You think about things like that. your parents, especially nowadays, they don't necessarily know what we do, right? And so for you to be able to show it, say, hey, I know you still don't understand, but I'm getting recognized in a platform or a medium that you would understand. So there we go.
And that you hit that on the head, right? Because that ties back into why I said universally, not just within young people. Anybody of any age knows, oh, Forbes magazine, I know what that is. A list. First of all, anybody who's on a Forbes list, winning at life. Like that's just point blank, period, end of story.
I went to Forbes on Fifth last year and was like pushing my W agenda, posted about it, and I was like, and that was literally my caption, pushing the WNBA for anybody who will listen. And then they did a write-up talking about highlight her in March or May or something. And I was shook, posted about that. Then I was like, oh, y'all playing with me today because this is crazy. This is crazy.
It's incredible. So I know you're feeling so good about that. But you talked about, you went to Forbes on Fifth, which is it's a legendary office, by the way. And you are someone I know just from your social media habits. You are not, stuff isn't chance or happenstance for you. You literally, of course, there's the work and the grind, which we'll get into that. But you believe in manifesting your destiny, right? Speaking things into existence and then doing the work behind it. So talk about that mindset and, okay, I believe I can do X. I'm going to put it out there. Now I'm going to put in the work behind it to do it.
I would say before even the law of attraction, there's my faith. And I allow that to work through me. So I pray. I'm like, hey, when I first got that email saying you've been nominated, I'm like, if this is what your plan is for me, let it happen. Let your work go through me and guide me in that way. But I've always been an overworker. Like I was an athlete since I was 4 years old, between taekwondo, cheerleading, and gymnastics and volleyball. Like I love to compete. I love to compete for something, right? I never did the cheerleading that was like go team. It was like competitive cheerleading. So I love having something to aspire to. But before I even thought of Forbes, I wanted to be successful in sharing my passion for women's sports with everybody. So that was like my goal. And to see the numbers go up in investment of women's sports and to see like you can actually quantify the impact of women, talking about sports or women excelling in the sports space and juxtapose that with like the investment from bigger companies. So just to see these numbers go up higher and higher, I'm like, yeah, we're winning. So that kind of fueled me to stay working tirelessly because Gabby knows, like, when I was at the Knicks with her, just being in the dressing room, triple screening NCAA women's basketball games and having to drive up to Bristol for ESPN Media Day. And I was like the only independent journalist there and just really grinding it out there. And like, thank God for Howard McDowell's guidance and LaChina Robinson's guidance. But just really putting in the work to make that happen. I never even thought to apply for Forbes, before this year. It never was a thing for me. I just wanted women's sports to be more prominent, to me, like have more investments and to tell the stories of players that have been so underserved. And that's what my motivating factor was. So all that, when I was in Forbes, I didn't even know I was attracting the law. We didn't know the law was, we didn't know that was happening. But we just knew that we wanted to spread our passion. By our, I mean, like, I wanted to spread my passion. So it just worked in my favor in that way. And that's why I'm telling you, God works through me.
I think one thing that is so unique and special to you, and just as I've gotten to know you over the years working for the Knicks, is you create the opportunities that you want. You might not necessarily know exactly where that end goal is, and it's all about the journey. But tell us more about creating opportunities, and how that took you from shooting T-shirts at the Knicks and cheerleading to where you are now. I had to go there.
I live for a T-shirt toss now. I miss running out on that court and me and Jess tumbling out. I miss those days. And honestly, when I was there, I would just notice, like, in the summertime, we would be on Torch Patrol, and these are the top 144 athletes coming in and out of Madison Square Garden, and nobody's talking about them. We saw press row was 4 people. I'm like, y'all, it's a battle when it's on the Knicks side, but when it's Libs, why is this not happening? And so I was talking to Tiff McPherson. She's the first resident woman DJ at Madison Square Garden, and telling her like my grievances, like what was going on. And she was like, just talk to them yourselves. And I have a lot of friends that played in the WNBA. I mean, some still play. And I was like, you know what, you're right. So us working for MSG, I knew where their away team hotel room was. So whenever they would come, I would go across the street and take them to a conference room in that hotel and just start recording the interviews and posting them on Twitter, and it just gained traction. So I didn't know where I wanted to go with this. I just knew that the root of my passion was telling women's stories, whether that be in the sports space. I love music. I grew up around music. My uncle is a legendary producer and manager. So like I grew up around that, and I've just always loved it. But I've also always loved the women's side of things. So again, Gabby, what you were saying, like, I might not know where I want to go. I still don't necessarily know what I want to do with it, like, to keep building. But I do know that if I walk in my passion, it's going to lead me somewhere great, So that's where I am with that.
And that's beautiful, because so many of our guests, that's what the common thread is, right? Because everybody sees the external, right, of what we do. Oh, you got to talk to so-and-so. Oh, you was at this Jordan Brand party. Oh, right? But obviously they don't see the toiling and all the hard work and the 3 o'clock, 4 a.m. like wake-ups or staying up until...
Right. I had to leave the arena after a Knicks game. It was like 11:30 one night, because it was an 8 o'clock game. And literally get my rental from Jersey the next morning at 3 a.m. so I can drive to Bristol and be there by 7, because media day started at 7:30. And these are the sacrifices that people, they don't see that. They don't see like all the grind that you had to do, or all the hours of studying film and seeing these women. I don't have these relationships out of nowhere. I've been covering some of these since they were in high school. So that's what, 10 years in that, 10 years like focusing on them. Lexi Brown, one of my friends, I've known her since she was 18 years old. She's 24, 25 now. And so I'm able to get a story out of her that a lot of other people can't get, because we're so familiar with each other. So they don't see those years that built up to this point, because 2020 really exploded, like for me, in a great way. Like 2020 was amazing for me. But they don't say 2015 when I was back in the dressing room of the Knicks, dressing room 5 if we're lucky, and just
those flex walls, yeah,
right, the flex walls. But they don't see that, or the sacrifice. Like I had to sacrifice my job at MSG for it. Yeah, but I knew what I wanted to do, and MSG was my home. So like that was really hard for me. That was a really tough year, knowing that I had to pick the direction that my passion was leading me, and the sacrifice along the way, and having to give up things that are luxury to me or are comfortable to me. But yeah, now it's coming to fruition, and we lit.
and your promotion of all women's sports, but particularly the W, man. I mean, all the coverage around the W in the Wubble and all the stuff that you were doing was fantastic. When the league when sports shut down, but WNBA hadn't started its season yet, right? Because of how their season's structured on the calendar. What was your mindset going into the Wubble? You're like, all right, man, they're locking this stuff up, but we got to still create this content. What was the seeds and what was the planning process like for you when you're like, all right, I'm going to make this happen?
Well, the world was imploding, so I was just worried about the player safety at first.
Yeah.
But we had a unique opportunity that like the league made the players more available to the general masses of media, right? So I used to have to like bulldoze my access. I used to have to like sneak around. I'm PR's worst nightmare, because I do what I want. And I worked in sports for so long. I know arenas. I know which which doors, which security guard. I know these things. So what happened this year was we were able to talk to the players on Zoom, and so they were in a bubble. They weren't traveling. We had more time. We had more time to really be able to hear them out, hear them on a more frequent basis. It was condensed, and so there were more stories that were coming out. We saw everything that was happening with social injustice. And because I'm the voice of Highlight Her on Bleacher Report, I can tell it my way. And being a Black woman, I had a perspective that a lot of people didn't have that run these platforms. So I was reflecting that in my content too, not being afraid of addressing it, because it was a very real thing that was going on in society. If we're going to talk about sports and culture, we need to talk about the culture part of it too. And that was very prominent. So yeah, I just let I never overly plan. I never force things, but I know if one of my good friends, Amanda Zayabi, if she's overseas or if she's in the Wubble and her family's going through something, that's a story that, if she's comfortable, we can tell. And that's just from knowing her. Or Satu had a similar situation. Not Satu. Didi, Demiris Dantas, and she had a similar situation, and where she lost her best friend and a family member right before she went to the bubble. But just being able to tell their stories and knowing that Natasha Cloud is out there on the front lines, Renee Montgomery is finding her voice and just like being explosive with it this year. It just was natural. So I didn't have to do too much planning. We just did what we normally do. It was virtual, and I'm an in-person person, so it was kind of hard dealing with these screens, but we lit.
You know, again, you talked about the perspective that you have. In many ways, not in many ways, in almost every way except for actually being in the WNBA yourself, these women are your peers, right? You're around the same age as them, so you can connect and relate to them in a way that, even though I'm black, I'm a man and I cannot. Even though Gabby's a woman, she cannot, right? Like, and so that allows you to pull out and elicit things from them. That is what also makes your content so valuable, right? Because there's so much content out here. I mean, good Lord, you pull up your Twitter feed, it's like, oh my God, there's 8 million things out here. But your stuff is special, and it's because of that, the relationship. Because ultimately, you're not out here trying to get clicks. That's not you're not trying to make clickbait. No. You are, no. I want to elevate and promote women and what they do because it's phenomenal. And there's no, you're not trying to you're not forcing anything. Look, I'm just telling you what's happening. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. And I know I enjoy it and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I do as well. Do you think, though, that I think this season was so interesting for so many reasons? I know you and Jarod touched upon this already, but, you know, one being that the WNBA and the NBA were playing at the same time. Do you think that helped give an even larger spotlight? I mean, I think we've talked about this already. The W did such a great job of bringing light to social issues and to a whole group of new fans as well. So I'd love to know your thoughts on how the timing of everything actually probably brought a lot of good things towards the W.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's them playing at the same time that was a big impact, or if it's people were in quarantine and they finally said, oh, let's put it on a network that people can access. You know, I think that's like really big on visibility. I still don't know how I feel about them playing at the same time, because I don't see what's wrong with summertime. I'm like, you're not in school, like, take your butt to an arena. You can travel. Like, there are things that it's like that would be ample time in theory, but for some reason it doesn't work for people. So I don't know if when things go back to normal, if I would be like, let's make, you know, the W be from October to May and June. I don't know if I'm for that, but I'm for putting it on TV, putting it in front of people, giving people access that wouldn't have access before. You know, like before it was just League Pass, and you just had to be lucky if League Pass didn't black out on you. But then you could just turn on ABC or ESPN or CBS Network and see it. And then Turner had, shout out Turner fan, by them. But they had a WNBA weekly show with Kristen Ludlow and Renee Montgomery. And I thought that was cool because Renee was a player that opted out. And so she could give an inside perspective. Just the access to the game was the biggest game changer for the W this season. Okay.
One of the things I love about the W is, you know, they've always been about that life, for lack of a better term, right? When it comes to social justice causes and fighting the fight, right? You know, a lot of the NBA stuff got a lot of headlines this year, but I'm like, y'all know the W been doing this, right? Been on it, right? For years, grinding, mainly because, right, they're fighting for that equal level playing field and that footing, right? The huge agreement between the WNBA, NBPA, and the WNBA for the collective bargaining agreement, giving these women better travel arrangements, more salary, paid leave when they have babies, like all kinds of things that are like standard that, you know, these women need, and treating them the way professional athletes should be treated. So Ari, when you're out and you're promoting the W, because I know what I hear as a guy from like unenlightened men who like just are, you know, cavemen essentially is what I call them, because, you know, they're from a different time. Stone Ages, literally. What's the biggest sort of like critique you hear about why people don't want to watch women's sports, and how do you combat that?
I don't try to. I just try. No, it's true, because a lot of times we're placed with the responsibility that we shouldn't, to try to convince people that we're good enough. If you just do your thing and let people fall in love with it, I don't think that's something that you need to push down people's throats. I'm not a huge fan of certain things. Like, I keep it a buck. Men's basketball is not really my thing. I just think that the pace is chaotic. Will I go on online and talk about it badly? No. But, if it's a good game, it's a good game, and I'm tuned in. I'm locked in. And I think that that's what we need to be focused more on, saying like, hey, here's the product out here. It's out here for you to consume. This is why we're passionate about it. And just speak from a place of, oh, we love it because, instead of let me defend it all the time, because it gets to the point where I think that we spend so much time focusing our energy on, let me show you, like, tell you why women are important, when I'm just like, yo, it's 2020. We're breaking all the barriers, which should have been broken years ago, but that's a different story. But we're breaking all these barriers, and if you're not with it, that's fine. You can live in your bask in your sea of ignorance, but we're over here still going forward. We're still moving forward. And I'm never going to go back and forth with somebody unless they're directly attacking, me and my character. I'm never going to go back and forth with them about the WNBA, because I'm just going to leave you with the WNBA is so important. And I'm going to show you why it's so important. And if you don't agree, you're not going to get the attention from me. My favorite response is, "Are you okay?" Like when I'm like managing my highlighter, and the people are just outlandish with their comments. I'm just like, "Are you good? Like, you good?" Like, that's all you have to ask. Like, who hurt you? But
my favorite.
That, I'm not gonna beat it down their throats. I'm just gonna keep putting it in front of their faces.
That's my favorite. Who hurt you? And I think that's so key, because when someone comes at something and they're being negative about it, it isn't even about the thing or about you. It's about them.
Nothing to do with it.
Right? It's whatever's going on in their life that's so horrendous, or whatever internal issues they have not been able to address, and this is how it's manifesting itself, right?
Exactly. And that's why that ain't my battle. That ain't my battle. Hey, the WNBA is so important. You take it or leave it. But you're going to hear it. If you follow me, you're going to hear about the WNBA. You're going to learn. You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today.
I love that. So, because of course we are a sneaker show, I have to ask, the W has done such amazing strides in terms of WNBA kicks. You're starting to see players get their own sneaker deals in the W. What are your favorite things about what's going on in the sneaker game for the ladies?
I love that Sue Bird's rocking like my rent on her feet. That's like I'm just like, oh, that's great. That's great. And then I just feel like sneakers are a way to dress up anything. You can exude your style, like even if you're in just a matching set, like a nude matching set. If your kicks are popping, they're popping, and people are going to pay attention. And it's like a sense of pride for them. Like, the wobble is something that you're isolated. You don't pack much, but you're gonna have your staple shoes, and it's great. And I think it's really fun to see who goes where, like for shoe deals. Like you see Erica Wheeler, who just signed with Adidas, and all her kicks, and she's like so proud to show them off. And then Jordan Canada with her new Jordan brand deal. It's cool. It's just cool to see them make the sneakers themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm not really into like, knowing what is what. I just know like that's fire or that's not. And a lot of times they rock heat, and I love to watch it.
Speaking of rock and heat, do you think that the sneaker brands, we always know they could always do more. We know that. But they're starting to step themselves up in more ways. Obviously, Jordan Brand, Kia Nurse, right? There's all the, do you think we're just going to start seeing now, like, all right, signature shoes for the ladies, that's now the new thing, like we have for the guys, right? All the top, who can move the envelope? Because that's the other thing, right? Every dude that comes in the NBA don't get a signature sneaker deal, because you can't all move units. But if there's a lady who can move units, we're getting you, and we're going to give you the signature deal. You think the companies now are being like, this is what we're going to do, because there's a market for this?
I really hope so. We saw, the impact of Cheryl Swoops with that. I hope that we can bring back the excitement around women's signature shoes. I know, Elena kinda has her shoe, but it's not her shoe. Candace had the same situation with Adidas. I want it to be more front facing so that we don't have that discrepancy between like women having signature shoes or not, because it's not as prominent as it should be. It's just not. I think that with women breaking barriers continually and like pushing and persevering, you're going to see companies like not being able to avoid it any longer. And I'm excited about the future of that. I'm excited about the excellence that's on this court that, especially I'm going to speak on Jordan Brand because obviously they exude excellence. There's greatness and longevity, and that's just the definition of a Jordan Brand athlete. And just to see if there's like a Jordan Brand athlete that they have that's a woman, that they see that they want to invest in that, I think that would be really, really, really cool. And obviously all across the board, I would love that too. And I see Puma is a great one too that invests in the culture, and I love what they do. They always stand so strong in making their statements, and they've never shied away from addressing what's going on. And I would love to see their investment in women. You know, they have Jackie Young, they have Katie Lou Samuelson, and a few others. Skylar Diggins-Smith, I think, is still with Puma. But like, that's a great one right there, Skylar.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there are so many marketable players out there that we've seen capitalize on themselves as a brand, and I hope that translates to the sneaker deals.
I love it. Ugh.
I think, you know, it's so interesting that you mentioned that, because that's where the Pumas and the New Balances, that's a market that they could tap into, right? Again, Nike and Jordan Brand going to do their thing, but it's like, look, if you were trying to like carve out a lane, yo, drop some money behind that and make a signature shoe for that next up and coming person. Like, I remember all the hype Sabrina Ionescu was getting in college, right? Like, I was like, yo, why can't we just drop some cash behind this, figure out how to market her? Like, yo, I mean, that would have been like, you know, if it were
A
me,
no-brainer.
right? I'm like, yo, let's just do it. Sign her up, let's give her and see how it pops, you know? But, you know, maybe.
And she's to Oregon, so Nike, it's crazy. But like, I was honestly like low-key hoping she would go with Under Armour just because of her relationship with Steph. Like, I just thought that would be a cool segue. But obviously, Oregon over relationship
You know,
with
I was gonna say, if you
you're obligated.
you an Oregon athlete, you best be Nike or else.
Yeah. And then, but like, I do like what Jordan Brand has done with Sabally, and just let her be so culturally loud with everything. And I think that that's really important, to have a shoe brand that's like reflective or lets you tell your story. And that's the case with when I talked to Erica Wheeler about Adidas, they let her tell her story. Candace Parker and the loyalty with Adidas, tell her story. Skylar Diggins-Smith loving the culture of Puma and the new resurgence of them. Just finding that alignment and just being able to be yourself with the brand is really important too.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's what it's all about, right? Is authenticity. And I think you see that across everything that we touch upon on the show, and everything in your path that you do. And that's why people gravitate towards it, right? Because it's real, it's authentic, and it's relatable. So Kia Nurse and the Liberty, I know she's been doing some cool design stuff, but tell us more about like the importance of the Liberty to you. I know you've had a lot of different interactions with them over the years, but why are the Libs so special?
The Libs are home. I mean, we spent 4 or 5 days out of the week at Madison Square Garden, Gabby. So I mean, that was like my first ins and outs of a WNBA team, and just to see them go through the the ebbs and flows. It's the loyalty right there. You know, I'm always gonna love my Libs, and I honestly love that they've gone to Barclays, because I think that environment is great. I think it's youthful, it's fun, it's that gritty Brooklyn, even though I'm not really a Brooklyn fan, like the borough. I'm like a Manhattan girl, but I think it gives them like a new like excitement around the team this year. Obviously transitional, and everybody was new. They had 7 rookies. I mean, children running around. I joked with Amanda because she was literally like the grandma of the team, and she was class of 2015. And so like, you're the grandma of the team, and you're that young. But no, I'm just really and sad that Sabrina and Kia got hurt. But I'm just really excited to see them go to Barclays and see what that entails. But like, I have really great relationships with teams and like nostalgia and in history with certain teams. Like Connecticut Sun gave me my first in-arena hosting job. The Sparks, I've just been a lifelong Sparks fan. I miss the Charlotte Sting. The second I get a bag, I'm about to bring them back. Just give me a couple million. Like we doing it.
A couple million. I love it.
A couple million. Just if anybody out there is listening that sugar baby. Anyway, but yes, I would love to bring them back. And Atlanta Dream, that's color commentary, and shadowing LaChina down there. I have these personal ties with these teams, and New York's really special because it was my first entry to the WNBA, like on a working level.
Yeah, and the Liberty, I mean, they're an OG franchise. I mean, when the W was announced, I mean, all the way back in the day when they had Rebecca Lobo, I mean, that was right one of the goats. No, I what you do, Ari, with your platform, again, it's tremendous, and we have to commend you for that. When you are looking at the future of women's sports and sort of, on the horizon, what do you see as next, as sort of like the next frontier and the big thing that like to tackle and where women's sports is headed?
I think that we're coming up on a generation that doesn't know that women are supposed to be inferior. You know what I mean? Like they grew up with the WNBA. Its inception was 1997. Mm-hmm. So those who were born after 1997 have never lived without the WNBA. And so you see things like that. And then our U.S. women's national team mm-hmm. being on the forefront of things, being like so excellent, you can't deny them. Mm-hmm. You see the women's hockey leagues coming mm-hmm. together. You see Athletes Unlimited just doing softball and volleyball and creating these leagues, that it's so normal for women to play sports that you're not going to find it weird. So hopefully, if people don't like pass down misogyny, we'll come to a time where it's like, duh, women play sports. Like, what do you mean they're not supposed to? So that's what I see as the future. The game of basketball is evolving crazy. Like, you see Liz Cambage taking the ball down the court. She calls herself a point center. And you see things like that, and you're like, holy crap. Like, I could be 6'9" and shooting threes, even though I should be, in the paint. But you see that positionless basketball. You see, platforms like Highlighter, Overtime Women's Basketball, W Slam, getting these players when they're younger and showcasing, pass the ball to their OGU too. Getting these players when they're younger, showcasing their highlights, having that excitement, that hype around them that we didn't have when we were growing up. We didn't have hype. We didn't have Instagram. Like, we didn't have hype around women's sports like that. The highlight reels weren't as available. But then you see Zaya Cook, who, South Carolina, who wagged her finger a couple years ago and showed like, hey, I got this. I play with this chip on my shoulder. I'm cold and I know it. Yeah. Here. And stuff like that is cool. Like, you see Kennedy Carter in college and she's just a dog. And so you expect that in WNBA, and just having that attitude, that grittiness about you. We be doing this. We
I love it. Liz might be one of my favorite WNBA players. I just love her swag, how she talks trash. Like,
she doesn't care.
I love it.
It's like, do whatever.
I love it, man. Like, and again, but it's showcasing her personality, right? She's not like being like fake tough lady for the camera or whatever. This is just, I'm a competitor and I talk smack when I'm playing. Like, all right, like, what's good? No, I am a fan of that. This is, Gabby, we could talk to Ari all day about WNBA.
I would love to. Stay tuned for the after show. Where's that wine?
All right, folks, we will be back because it is time for America's favorite segment, Shoe and Tell. So stay tuned. What's good, y'all? We are back with our girl Ari, and it is time for Shoe and Tell. I mean, my personal favorite part of the show. So, Ari, you show us what you got and why it's important to you.
Okay. I'm going to go with your standard 1s and 11s because life.
I love it.
True to form. These actually mean a lot to me. These breads mean a lot to me because I have a situation in college where I really wanted these. I didn't know anything about sneakers like that, but I really wanted it. And I was with somebody who just basically like promised them to me, and it didn't come true.
Ooh, they were lying? They tricked you? That's how they tricked you?
And it was kind of like a bad ending to it. And then the person told me, like, hey, stop trying to be a part of a world that you're no longer a part of, basically.
And
wow.
Fast forward 5 years, and I get these sent to me. And so it was like, look at God working. You know what I mean? Like, I got not only one pair, but two. So
one to rock, one to stock. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. and I just think that's like a full circle moment. And it was honestly the first pair of Jordans that really launched me into working with the company. And so I love Jordan Brand. I love how they let me be me, and I love how they treat me. And this is just like the trophy for me.
Shouts to Jordan Brand. Of course, we are fans of Jordan Brand. If those of you who don't know, when the AJ35s premiered, Ari was the host, and it was dope. It was a great time. She was chatting up with my guy Craig. There they go.
Craig, I miss Craig.
Craig's a good dude.
But no, we had a great time, and that's why these are really important to me. They actually sum up my 2020 because these are opportunities I never thought I would have, right? And I always lead with gratitude because nothing was owed to me. You know, I'm not entitled enough to think that this is like going to come to me at random. Like, I worked hard, and somebody, I guess, put my name in some room, and it stuck. And for them to trust me with hosting the drop and that being such a monumental moment. I mean, this only happens once a year, right? And so for it to happen, and I get to talk to Craig, the president of Jordan Brand, and Tate, the lead designer of the 35, and just understand the science of the shoe and the legacy that Jordan Brand holds, I think that's really cool. And I like the colors. So I like sparkly things, and it's really sparkly. I don't play basketball, but I can wear this with a matching set, and I'm very, very happy about it. That's another thing, guys. I never played basketball a day in my life. I was a cheerleader and a volleyball player growing up, but basketball's always been really special to me. My dad went to Duke.
Blue Devil.
Even though I went to NC State. But
wait, how did he let you go to? How did that happen?
True story. I did not like the color blue growing up, so I intentionally did not choose Duke because it was blue.
Fair enough.
I can pick it up. And I'm a cheerleader, so it wouldn't make sense for me to go to Duke because their cheerleading squad doesn't compete or stunt. So, like, don't understand.
No. Yeah, you're right.
But so I'm like huge. Basketball's in my DNA. And, growing up in the 919, you can't not love basketball. It's
Correct.
just like the 919 is basketball, NC State, Duke, and Carolina. And I'm an ACC baby, so like, hello. And Michael Jordan, right there. So slow hanging fruit. So everything to me, and just a summation of my hard work. So another little trophy. And speaking of Michael Jordan, these rocked it all-star with like,
yeah.
Got my ones, and
From UNC to Chicago, baby.
That's right.
Even though UNC not my team, but
well, I was gonna say, how do you? So is the red? That's the Chicago red, but is that enough red to be like, all right, that's NC State? So you like kind of?
I ignore the blue. No, I'm kidding. Kind of. No, I hate Carolina.
I know you do.
It's anything but Carolina in this family. But I just love ones. I love that I'm the type of dancing ones. I just think they're swaggy with anything. Like, you don't even have to like, period. They look good beat up. They look good fresh. Like, they're just that type of shoe to me. I know a lot of people are going to cringe at that comment, but hey, it is what it is. I probably have, I don't know if I have more ones or more 11s, but they have a healthy amount of both.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, it's like where
I love it.
What I think is so key there, right, Gabby? We talk about it all the time. Whatever level of sneaker person you are, right? Like, 1s, 11s are in everybody's top something, right? Like, they just are. You don't know nothing about the shoes. You're like, oh, I like those. There's just something about those silhouettes you just love.
Classic.
I mean, I feel like just the one is just superior. It's just so classic. You can't get anything classic like this. Like, it's timeless. It's classic. It's nostalgic. It shows that there's been 35 years of game-changing performance. No, I'm joking.
Shouts to Jordan Brand.
Yes, that was perfect.
But it shows that, like, hey, like, this is like excellence. Your mom was rocking these. Like, your dad was rocking these, and being on the block, just being a kid. And I'm like the type that hasn't really left the 90s. I'm just very much a 90s kid, and so I love that era, and it just reminds me of it. You see my earrings, and just
I see you.
But yeah, they just stylistically they're great. Nostalgic, they're great. But yeah, these are my 3 picks, and the 35.
We love them.
Those are great picks. I have to ask though, because, and I'll tell you why I'm asking this after I ask and after I hear your answer. But what are your thoughts on the Air Jordan 1 mid?
I don't know why people hate mid so much.
Gabby's so excited.
Maybe just because, like, I'm not like a heavy sneakerhead. I just don't understand the hatred towards mids and why people don't utilize them more, just because they're available.
Yep.
So why not, like, let's all collectively come together and realize, like, hey, we don't really hate mids like we think we do, and we can actually have access to shoes. That's a concept. Like, can somebody explain to me why we hate mids? I really want to know.
Because it's cool to hate, like, things, people do. It's just cool to hate on things that are like, oh, we hate that. It's not OG, whatever. People just, how it is. People just do that. And
there's such good colorways in the mids. I mean, there's different colorways that they don't make in a high top or in a low. I mean, I'm with you. So I'm glad that that's how you feel, because we're going to get the mids trending. Jordan 1 mids. You heard it here first.
Crazy, because, like, I posted something with some ones the other day. It was a while ago. And someone was like, oh, those are some nice mids. And then, like, people started attacking me in the comments. I was like, y'all, I mean, I don't have to defend the fact that they're not mids. Like, why do y'all hate mids so much? What is the issue? What did mids ever do to anybody?
Who hurt you?
Right, just because I have hella Reeboks, and I don't know.
Okay?
Are you okay? I have hella Reeboks, and I don't know if this is the same situation, but all of them are mids.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like all of my Iversons are mids.
Yeah, it's what I think it is, Ari, and we talked about this on our last episode. It's the ones in particular that people just have this, like, attachment and feeling about, and they don't like when it's not how it's supposed to be, whatever that means, right? And people really feel some kind of way. And I'm like, look, man, they look hot. They look hot. Why does it matter if they're mids or lows or whatever?
Yeah, I agree. There were some mids that were like, came out and they had burgundy accents. I was like, oh, this is real cute. Yeah. This is real cute.
I just got my hands on that pair. I know those are
fire. I don't know where to go. But like, I thought those were real cute.
Wait, Ari, what kind of cute were they?
Real cute.
I love it. I
was like, okay, I need to get these, and I still need to get those, by the way.
I got you. We're gonna talk offline. I got you.
There's something that you said during Shoe and Tell that, again, this just ties into who you are as a person and just your overall aura and aesthetic, which I'm a big fan of. Which I'm saying again. You said that it was such an honor to host the AJ35 drop, and you don't know, someone put your name down in a room somewhere, and next thing you know, they're calling you. But this is something that Ari, as someone of faith and someone who speaks things into existence and manifests things and law of attraction. When you don't know, people are talking about you in rooms or in places that you have no idea where or what. And all that, in order for you to get what is coming to you and to manifest and receive, is to do your work and let that shine. Because they hear the name Ari. Oh, I know who that is. She does da-da-da-da-da. There is no, oh, we don't know. No. We know. Here are the receipts. Boom, we can pull it up and go, right? So, yeah, you may not know who was talking to who and who said what, but it don't matter, because you never have to worry about that, because your work is out there.
Speaks for itself.
It speaks for it. So if it's meant for me, I'm going to get it. And I really enjoy that about you.
Period. And then it's to the point where, you see all this activism handle, and that's where my focus was this summer. And then it's something as little as the companies that I work with, the clients that I have sending me cards. It's crazy how that just works out. It doesn't even need to be a shoe. Like, I just think that sneakers can bring people together in that way. That it's like, you don't even know how timely that was when you wrote me that card. Shout out Jordan Moran. When you wrote me that card, but handwritten card that just came to my door. No shoes attached, that's fine. And it just made my day. It lifted, and that showed that you care about me as a person. That's a family. So when we say Jordan Brand family, that's like, and no, they're not paying me to promote them on the show, but like, there's a bond there. And I think that a lot of people bond over kicks and bond over their common love. And I know Gabby, it's like a point of conversation with her and other people. Like, they will bond over a memory. Her and Risa, this NBA All-Star, bonded over something. I don't know what they were talking about. We were at some fireside thing, and they were just talking about sneakers. And I was like, go ahead, y'all, because I can contribute. But it's a good talking point that brings people together that y'all can kiki and have a great time about.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what it's about, right? It's not just about the culture, but it is about the community. It's about that family. So whether it's one pair, whether it's a million pairs, whether it's an issue that's going on, it's all interconnected, right? So I think you really hit the nail on the head with that.
And Charlotte All-Star, when you hooked me up with the Under Armour team.
Yes, that's right.
And I was at Steph Curry's gym opening, And that was just a beautiful moment, giving back to the community, just having their whole family there, and Under Armour, obviously, in partnership with them, and just seeing how much of an impact that had. Another way sneakers can bring people together that doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be a sneakerhead to appreciate the impact of sneakers. And that's where I'm coming from, because I can't get up here and fake it like I've known things for years. I knew I loved the 11s for years, but like, other than that, like, what do you know? What do you know? So it just brings people together in so many different ways.
Man, we love it, Ari. We could talk to you for hours, but we know
forever.
you got work to do. But tell the people where they can find you.
Google. No, I'm just kidding. It was right there. It was right there. Ari Ivory on every social network platform ever, because I was a new communication media major, and I was told to do that in college before Instagram even existed. Keep it consistent. So Ari Ivory everywhere. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. If I don't understand it. How to go viral there, we don't know. We don't know. But I'm there. So yeah.
Awesome. And we appreciate your time. This was awesome. And folks, that's another episode of the Kicks and Shit Show. You know where to find Gabby and I. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud. My God, we're everywhere. And we are at Kicks and Shit Show on all social media platforms. Until next time, peace.